Rivers State Governor Siminalayi Fubara has presented the 2025 fiscal year budget to a faction of the State House of Assembly, led by Right Honorable Victor Oko-Jumbo. The proposed 2025 budget, tagged Budget of Inclusive Growth and Development, is 300 billion naira higher than the 2024 budget, which was 800 billion naira. The governor said that the budget is premised on achieving sustainable economic growth, accelerating the development of the state, and improving the living standards of the people. He said the total projected revenue for Rivers State for the 2025 fiscal year is 1,188,962,739,932 naira 60 kobo. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, the 2025 budget is premised on achieving sustainable economic growth, accelerating the development of the state, and improving the living standards of our people. Therefore, it contains policy measures and objectives that will strengthen our capacity to weather possible external shocks from the volatility of the national economy, to build the resilience of our economy and advance our collective development and prosperity. He continues to say, it is for this reason that we have the theme for the 2025 budget as a budget of inclusive growth and development. Nze, what do you make of this story?
Budget of inclusive growth and development. Fantastic. I pick my point from the inclusivity of this budget, which I believe it is a budget that will have to link up the government and the people. The inclusive growth is the growth of the Rivers State government, the growth of Rivers economy, the growth of Rivers manpower, the growth of Rivers citizen, all inclusive in one. I commend the governor for the bold step he has taken to present that budget. You know, some time ago when we discussed about this, we were looking at the governor's body language that, you know, he was waiting for the Supreme Court judgment as to know where to pitch his tent. But at this point, I believe that those of them who are standing up the hill there, at the top of the hill, will have a brighter view of the landscape than us who are down here. So whatever it is, I believe that the bold step he has taken to present this budget is one too many. That is adding to his progressive moves, which he has been making.
Bold step taken to present budget. Presentation of budget is the responsibility of any government.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be a bold step.
No, it is a bold step.
It is a prerequisite.
Yes, in the sense, bold step in the sense that there are issues surrounding the presentation of the, you know, the 2024 budget was presented to a DCNA here, four-man committee, or former members of the Rivers State House of Assembly as at then. And you see that a lot of people criticize that, which is still a subject of litigation till now. And we are awaiting the judgment of Supreme Court as regards to that litigation. But for him now to also, you know, make bold to present it to Victor Oko-Jumbo, present 2025 budget to Victor Oko-Jumbo, to me, it's a bold step. Yeah, it's a bold step.
Taken in the right or wrong direction?
To me, taken in the right direction, because you can't stall the government. You can't stall the government. Government must continue. It's a continuum. So there is no how you can hold Rivers people to ransom. And there is something about this that I want to make clear here on national television, that the governor who presented the 2024 budget to Edison here, which is still a subject of a debate to many till now, had come to give a down-to-earth analysis of how the budget was spent and what was left over. And for the first time, we are seeing a governor coming to tell us that after expenses, that the Rivers State government still have about 100 billion naira to save after all the expenses, which means that there is in fact, the governor had utilized that budget of 2024, and now he has presented that of 2025. We are still believing that better things are yet to come out of it, or better things will come out of it, based on the fact that though the precedents he has set in 2024 we believe that he will improve in 2025. But knowing from the angle that we see things in Nigeria, yes, there will be more legal tussle to this. And since we do not know what Supreme Court will be coming up with, yes, in judgment, it can be for you, it can be against you. We know that. But should the judgment come against the River State government in favor of the erstwhile Speaker of the House, Martin Samuel Hule, when we would, after that, I believe that another litigation will come up. Another case will come up. And that will be the case of his seat being declared vacant, which they will still continue to battle. But there is something I want to say here which you don't like hearing, and that is the God inclusivity in the issues of political crisis in Rivers State. God's inclusiveness, rather, in political issues in Rivers State. I see God playing a role in everything that happened here. Because while we make up this fight, many of us do not know that Governor Sim Fubara will last till March 2024, when this fight began. Considering what we know about the political bigwig of Rivers State, the FCT minister, whom I believe he was fighting directly against. And not even the issue of Martin Samuel and all that. And I think we saw it on Sunday when Martins was having his Thanksgiving. He said that he was made speaker not by the vote of the people. He was made a member of House of Assembly not by the vote of the people, but by the appointment of FCT minister. Now, you see that it is from that angle we believe that it is not their fight, rather it is the FCT minister's fight.
It is also on record that Siminalayi Fubara, the governor of Rivers State, was also made the governor of Rivers State
by the same man
strategy of Wike. So
and not by the vote of the people.
Hold on. Regardless of, however, when you are speaking holistically, so let's bring both parties. But then, before I move over to my next question, you did something that caused a little bit of back and forth between us in the last show. And you did it again today, and I'm still going to correct you.
Because I believe that you have repented, having gone through the issues discussed in the past show we had here.
You want us to do that again?
No, you don't do that. This is New Year.
However,
please, I want to enter the New Year with a fresh body, please. You spare me that.
However, when you were speaking, you made mention that Martin Samuel Hule, you called him the erstwhile speaker. Now, as far as we know in Rivers State, Martin Samuel Hule is the Speaker of Rivers State House of Assembly, as upheld by 2 appeal court judgments. And until there is a judgment coming from a higher court, setting that judgment aside, I would implore you to respect the judgment of the appeal court, even though you do not agree with it. It is okay to call them a faction of the assembly. It's okay to call Oko-Jumbo a faction of the assembly. However, it is very, very important that you understand that they are still Rivers State House of Assembly. And we have to respect that, please. So calling them erstwhile, it's misinforming. Because as you sit here speaking, Nze, you are an opinion molder. People listen to you. A lot of persons do not even know what is going on in Rivers State. What they hear is what is being, peddled around. But on open conversation, we are a Rivers State-based television. And we give things as they are. In fact, if you watch open conversation consistently, you can discuss Rivers State matters as if you live in Rivers State. Because what is going on here is the opinion of stakeholders, members of different parties, of different factions, and I respect that. But even as you have your position, let's say things as they are so that we don't misinform people. I hope I put it in a manner that is more acceptable to you.
You see how Christian you look this morning. I just thank God for. I think by 12 midnight today we will bid goodbye to 2024. And just look at how. Oh, thank God! I wish New Year Eve we continue after today. I thank you for that anyway, for that analysis. But the fact
it wasn't
remains,
an analysis.
No, you put things clear. You pointed things out.
Clarification.
Yeah, but look at it. You know why sometimes when we come to speak, we speak from a point of view that we hold, not a point of view that another hold.
It is
and when we come to issues,
point of view of
like
another.
you know, day before yesterday, when
Yes.
when Martins was speaking, he was still addressing himself as the speaker.
He is the speaker of River State House of Assembly.
No doubt. No, but I didn't go to slap him. I didn't go to say, hey, I didn't go to remove my phone.
Nze, please.
He was,
Nze, please, hold
as
on.
he said.
No. Nze, hold on. Martins Amehule, according to the judgment of Justice Omotosho, according to the judgment of the First Appeal Court, and according to the judgment of the Second Appeal Court in October, remains the Speaker.
And that judgment has been appealed. You are aware?
Nze. Appealing, the act of appealing a judgment does not translate to stay of execution.
Yeah.
Let's get that clear. Let's get that. See, there are fundamentals to hold on. There are fundamentals to these things we need to get clear, right? Now, you have said it on this show severally, and I respect that. You are of the position that, as far as you are concerned, Oko-Jumbo-led faction remains the authentic faction.
That's my stand.
That is your stand. Nobody's arguing that. However, it becomes a problem on this show when you come and set aside a fact, you understand, and present your emotion over a fact, your emotions and your sentiments on an issue, well respected.
Does it really
it is freedom of issue. Yes,
really?
you can, yes, because that is what you're doing. The fact on ground is that there is an appeal court judgment,
which I'm aware
and
of.
as it stands,
Which I'm fully aware of.
As it stands, there is no higher court that has said otherwise. So regardless of how you feel about the appeal court judgment, regardless of how anybody feels about the appeal court judgment, there is what we call respect to the Constitution and the rule of law. So even though you don't like it, you must abide by it until it is set aside.
So he remains the factional speaker of River State House of Assembly, isn't it?
I can assure you that if the Supreme Court judgment comes up today and it is against Martins Amehule, Atlantic Television Network will immediately align to the judgment of the Supreme Court.
Good,
what you will see on our television is the ex-speaker. But until that happens, you see why we cannot be emotional about
we wait for it. We wait for it.
Thank
so
you.
for now, we address him as factional speaker.
My point is, you can't call him an ex.
Yeah,
speaker.
we address him as factional speaker.
That is misinforming.
Good.
Just like Oko-Jumbo is also a factional speaker.
A factional speaker,
so
yeah.
Let's have that clarity, and then we can have this conversation amicably.
Good.
Right? Because my own is to make sure that people are not misinformed.
Good.
Is that fair enough for you?
Yeah.
Now, having taken this long time, to clarify that
in such an amicable manner.
I'm
just looking at you today. It's like Jesus Christ touched you during Christmas.
I must actually applaud the fact that you're not being too uptight and defensive today. That's a big applause. Now, moving on to Fubara presenting the budget. I am looking at the legitimacy of this action, right? Like you have said, I like the fact that you periscoped on all that when you were making your analysis. Yes, the budget is right now we run full fiscal year, that is January to December. Yeah. And I was actually very worried about the governor not presenting the 2025 budget, considering that there was no extension of the 2024 budget, and also considering that the 2024 budget, according to the judgment of the court, is non-existent in Rivers State. And the issue in the first instance was the fact that the governor presented the budget to this same House of Assembly faction, even though at that time it was headed by Edison here. Now it is now Oko-Jumbo. At that time, understand that the contention again was it was a 4-man House of Assembly. Now it has even reduced to a 3-man faction, right? And the governor still goes ahead to present this budget. Now, again, it would have also been different if there has been no judgment at all whatsoever. But there has been a judgment that said the governor cannot present. In fact, what the courts called them, you know, the Edisnehe faction, led House of Assembly then, well, the court called them a forum of friends. That was not a legislative it was not a plenary in the first instance. So the court did not even recognize them in the capacity of being lawmakers to exercise that right. You understand? And the governor is still towing the same path.
Yeah, you see, I like it sometimes when things happen differently. You know, in the quest of finding the reality, you can dabble into several things. We saw that a high court, a River State High Court, authenticated the speakership of Edisine here when they parted way with Amoyhule's led faction.
Yes, go ahead.
And it was on that basis that the governor presented the budget to him. And along the line, several courts have given a different order in regard to that, which number one was that Martin Samuel was the authentic speaker. Number two was that the presentation of the budget to Edison here was a flaw, that Edison here's faction was not a House of Assembly, but rather a forum of friends. And also that as far as the law, the court was concerned, that the budget of River State in 2024 was null and void. And but the governor has stream of legal luminaries, those who read the law, who interpret the law, those who have foresight into the judiciary and things like that. So when I speak, I speak as a layman, but I speak as a citizen who has right. Because if I have right to vote for somebody, it means I have right over that person's office, over the office that the person occupies, to ask questions. So when I speak from this angle, I recognize and respect the fact that court has given these judgments, but we are taking our actions, some of the actions of the governor from the past precedencies, which we've seen in Nigeria, that yes, the High Court, Federal High Court Abuja had given judgment. Appeal court in Abuja has also given judgment, and the matter has been appealed.
Another appeal court in River State.
Another appeal court also gave judgment, but the matter had been appealed to Supreme Court. And we see that in this same state, there was something that happened, which I would like us to bring back to our memory. There was a governor who contested the election, and the election was taken to tribunal. In the tribunal, he was faulted, but already he has been sworn in. So the judgment in tribunal was against him. He didn't quit office. He kept sitting as the governor and went to High Court, appeal court. And the appeal court also was against him. The judgment was against him. And he remained as a governor, serving as a governor, carrying out his full duty with nothing missing. And he went to Supreme Court.
Are you aware if stay of execution was gotten against the judgments or not?
Well, I may not, but you see, in the case of River State Appeal Court, that River State government wanted to obtain a stay of execution, and the judge refused, which I consider a kind of trampling on the fundamental right of the government. The judge refused granting stay of execution.
A judge can either refuse,
or
grant it. So refusal doesn't mean it's trampling.
But it is applicable. It is applicable that it be granted. Because look, I am saying, look, let me come from this angle. Let me come from this angle. You are I mean in legal tussle with you, and a judgment was given against me, and I'm not satisfied. There is a window left for me to appeal that case. And I come to our judge, your judge and my judge, to say, Madam or Sir, my lordship, I want to obtain a stay of execution because I want to go further. In as much as the judge cannot stop me from appealing, he should be able to allow me that stay of execution.
It's not compulsory.
Well, it's not compulsory.
It is at the discretion of the judge.
Well, I think those who are within the chambers, within the bar, they will be able to interpret that.
It is at the discretion of the judge.
Yes, it is at the discretion of the judge, as you said. But let those who understand the judgment, the law, and the rest, and the proceedings of court, let them interpret it as it has gone to the Supreme Court. But for the governor, he said that I demand that I be given stay of execution on this judgment so that I can exhaust my fundamental right as a citizen of Nigeria and as a sitting government. But you see that some of the judgments that were given against Rivers State then were too harsh. That's why I said that the discretion of the judge made him look a bit biased in my own eyes. Because for you to give a judgment that the allocation of a state such as Rivers State be seized, for what?
Now we are not hold on Nze, so that we don't deflect into another matter. We are not discussing the allocation.
No, we are not going there, but we just have to touch it in passing.
We are discussing
the budget and its presentation
of the budget and the legality, behind the presentation of this budget. Now, let's look at the law. What the law provides, when it comes to certain legislative functions and acts of the State House of Assembly. Now, the State House of Assembly shall at no time have a minimum of 24 seats, and it shall not exceed 40. And 40 is in the case of Kano State. I think that's the state with the highest number of House of Assembly members. Well, in Rivers State, we have 32, correct? We have 32 seats. Now, the law also says, because this discussion will not be around 32, not around 27 or around the 3, but what is in Rivers State, which is 32 seats. Now, the law says that you cannot, there are certain things like the presentation of the appropriation bill. It has to be by 2/3 majority, not even 1/3 majority. Let me take you back to Supreme Court's judgment. Let's use it as a precedence to this conversation in the matter of Joshua Dariye, when he was impeached by, I think, 8 members of the House, because the House of Assembly then had issues. So 8 members were the ones that impeached Joshua Dariye. When the matter went to court, Supreme Court gave judgment. And Supreme Court says that they do not form a quorum to legislate on that impeachment. And the Supreme Court went further to say, are they legitimate House of Assembly members? Yes, they are. Can they hold plenaries? Of course they can hold plenaries. The Supreme Court says they can hold plenaries. However, when it comes to legislation that has to do with 1/3 or has to do with 2/3 majority, if they do not meet up to that particular quorum, they cannot legislate on that matter. What it means, let's take it down to Rivers State, and the House of Assembly member that is factionalized. In this instance, Oko-Jumbo, because you recognize them as a faction of Rivers State House of Assembly. Now, they are 3. They are not even up to 24. Right? Now, what is 1/3 of 32? What is 2/3 of 32? They do not even form a quorum of 1/3. Even a quorum of 1/3 in this instance, can they legislate on appropriation bill? They do not even form that quorum that is constitutionally given for legislations like this to hold. So let us take away sentiments and take away stay of execution, no stay of execution, court judgment. Let's keep aside court judgment and look at what the Constitution provides.
Good.
Do you think that Oko-Jumbo, they formed a quorum to legislate over the appropriation bill?
Good. We try to remove sympathy from this.
Yes.
And we deal with issues the way we think. Remember, I may not be in position to give accurate and best analysis on this, but I will speak from my angle as a layman when it comes to issues of law. yes, I will have to speak from that angle. And I beg that I be understood from my point of view.
You know, whenever you put a caveat like this, you're about to say something that's not acceptable.
I won't do that. I won't do that by God's grace. I just pray that you accept me the way I am. You know, not trying to make me look, you know, I'm not fair, I'm not dark.
You know that these things you do don't work with me.
No,
but still go ahead.
But let's go. Let's go by God's grace. When we talk about Victor Oko-led assembly and their number, saying that they didn't even meet up to 1/3 requirement is being sympathetic. Yes, if the law has said 2/3, it has to be stamped on 2/3, and 2/3 of 32 is 19. Yeah. Is it 19 or 20? 2/3 of 32 should be either 19 or 20. But however, we put that.
It can be 19, it's above 19.
Yeah, 2021, depending on the sharing formula. Yes, 2021. Now, but we look at it, they are just 3. And I know that in law, there is often what they consider as doctrine of necessity. I know. I may not explain it in details. But if at this point, the government of Rivers State, knowing fully well that at this point they are at a point where they need to enforce doctrine of necessity, and that has been put in place, and it has worked as
how was it put in place?
Yeah, because the Rivers State High Court had to authenticate the speakership of Edisine here. I believe that the court as
which Rivers State High Court authenticated?
Was it not the court of what is his name? You know, because of so much court cases and names of judges and all that. Is it Wale, Justice Wale or something like that? You know, if I may remember.
Justice Wale is the person that gave an order to vacate the seats of Martins and Mewule, the 27 lawmakers, and also authenticated and also said that Oko-Jumbo is the authentic speaker of Rivers State House of Assembly.
Okay.
It was Justice Wale that did that.
All right.
And the matter was appealed.
It was appealed
and it was vacated.
It was vacated.
And not just vacated, the appeal court said that every order that Justice Wale made is null and void. And the appeal court also said every legislative activities conducted by Oko-Jumbo is also null and void.
There is something I want to call to our mind here. That's why I said that we should try as much as possible to remove sympathy from our discussion this morning. You remember that after all this brouhaha, the Federal High Court at some point said that Rivers State High Court does not have jurisdiction to look into all these matters. You remember? But at some point, a higher court had to, was it a high court or a kind of, I think a panel had to question that and fought it and said that Rivers State matters should be discussed in Rivers State.
Let me correct you.
Okay.
Now, when the first appeal court judgment came, one of the things they said when they were making a nonsense of everything that Justice Wale had done was that they said that yes, the Federal High Court and State High Court are sister courts of equal jurisdiction. However, the Federal High Court has its exclusive jurisdiction, and they went ahead to say in matters pertaining to federal institutions, in matters pertaining to the state governor, the matters pertaining to the state houses of assembly, you know, that the Federal High Court has exclusive reserve, that's the word, exclusive reserve of cases like this.
That it cannot be handled by state high courts.
Yes, and that was why they said Justice Wale did not have the jurisdiction. However, what you're talking about is in the consolidated appeals, one of the judgments that came from the consolidated appeal by the appeal court. Now, when the appeal court was giving judgment with regards to the FAC allocation, barring Central Bank of Nigeria from paying state allocations to
River State.
Yes. Now, they were saying that it is not, in this instance, it is the state item, the state budgets. Do you understand? It is not, this one is not the River State House of Assembly. However, the concerns, like the lawyers were saying, was that the matter was targeted at Central Bank of Nigeria, which was a federal institution, and that was why they had to go to Federal High Court. So there are two different things. Do you understand?
Yeah.
So the appeal court is saying that the Federal High Court does not have the right to legislate over the state budgets. We are not talking of, but in this instance, the torso here is declaring the speakership of Martin Samehule vacant and declaring Oko-Jumbo the speaker. Now, this is River State, a State House of Assembly matter, and the appeal court is saying that the State High Court cannot handle issues pertaining to the State Houses of Assemblies and governors. You understand? So I hope you understand the difference between. There are two different prayers.
I follow you.
They are not the same at all.
I follow you on that.
Right,
you do know one thing about judicial struggle is that this judge will give judgment based on maybe his feelings, and another will give based on his feelings, yet quoting the same law. And it look like what we see in preaching messages. You know, you see a certain pastor quote a particular scripture and read from it and begin to give exegesis on it. And another one will come, quote the same scripture, begin to give a different exegesis from it. All these things are based on the environment the person is coming from. There is always a premise upon which...
What is important, we are not x-raying the activities of the judiciary in this instance. We are looking at the presentation of the budget and the legality around it. Now, I have told you that this is what the Constitution provides. How can a three-man legislate for the entirety of River State? In this instance, only 3 constituencies sat to legislate for 32 constituencies. 32 constituents constituents divided into 32 seats. Only 2. So who is deciding whether my constituents, you know, they are fairly represented, whether they are fairly represented in these budgets or not? So one could say that the rights of, you know, about 19 constituents or 19 constituencies have been denied by this singular action.
No, much more than 19.
You have spoken of doctrine of necessity. The issue around doctrine of necessity started with Yar'Adua being sick, I think in 2010, and Goodluck Jonathan taking over. It is different from what is going on. In this instance, there is a judgment of court. There is a judgment of the High Court and 2 judgments from appeal court that have, you know, affirmed Martin Samehule and said, Governor, this is your House of Assembly member. You will govern with these people as the House of Assembly member. You can talk to me about doctrine of necessity when there is nothing in the Constitution that provides for a particular exigency. The Constitution is clear about presentation of budget. The Constitution is clear about plenary. The Constitution is clear about quorums in legislations by houses of assembly. The Constitution is clear. And then there is a judgment. You cannot say, Nze, that the governor had to invoke the doctrine of necessity. He has a house of assembly as given by court judgment. The governor has a house of assembly. However, you recall that he said to himself, he didn't say to himself. He said when he was hosting Ijaw people from Bayelsa State, I think, yes, he said and he told them that he gave the River State House of Assembly a floating. That if he chooses to de-recognize them, they will cease to exist. And he went further to even say that he has de-recognized the Rivers State House of Assembly. And since then, he has carried on with the Oko-Jumbo, the Edison here, and then the Oko-Jumbo-led faction, right? And now, there is a judgment that has said, present 2024 budget to this House of Assembly. So there is no basis. I'm trying to understand the basis where you're bringing in doctrine of necessity.
Now let me come. In the Constitution of Nigeria, 1999 as amended, the issue of doctrine of necessity does not apply to a particular incident. It depends on the happenings, the incidences within that particular period. Now, leaving that to say that it must not be an issue that reflect or relate to that of Yaradua as at 2010. But there is something here I want to also say before I come to the point I want to make. In 2000, during the governorship era of Chimaro Kennaman in Enugu State, there was fracas within the assembly. And I think 6 members of the House were legislating. And he ran with them until the matter was finally resolved. Now, coming to this point, look at the statement of the governor. I want to also believe, because for me, you're a media personnel. Yes. And in this area, in this media profession, you dig deep. You equip yourself, you develop yourself and all that. And in my profession, I develop myself. So when we come to my profession, I guide it, I can defend it even while sleeping.